Hi everyone, hope that you're all well. My name is Louise, and in this video I'm going to just tell you a few little tricks and practices that can help you for times that maybe you're noticing that your mind is a bit busy, or you're noticing that you feel a bit anxious, which happens to all of us, but especially when we're a teenager. It can be a really difficult time, and I know when I was a teenager I found that I did suffer from anxiety quite a bit, and our emotions can feel really difficult sometimes, and it can be hard to know what to do with them. So hopefully these couple of practices that I show you will help you. And the first practice I'd like to tell you about is something called mindfulness. So with mindfulness, we're bringing our mind into the here and now. And this is helpful for lots of different reasons, but one of the reasons is that, and I think a nice way to describe it is like that we have like a little monkey in our mind, and that monkey is very, very busy, and it likes to kind of jump around the place and jump into the future and the past, and maybe jump to worries. And I'm sure maybe you notice that sometimes you might be worried about maybe exams, or thinking about what's going on in school, or and then sometimes it jumps into the past. So maybe we're thinking about maybe something we said yesterday or something that happened last week. So our mind can get very, very busy. And a lot of the places that this monkey jumps to can be to maybe worries or negative things. So when that happens, we don't really feel that good, do we? We might feel stressed and busy in our mind, and we can feel maybe not so good in our bodies, maybe tight in our tummies or anxious in our bodies. So mindfulness can really, really help us with this. And we learn to just bring our mind into this moment. So a way to bring our mind into this moment is to notice our breath. Because when we're breathing, we're in the now, and we're noticing our breath. We're in this moment, aren't we? When we're worrying about what's going to happen maybe with our exams, or what's going to happen, in a couple of weeks away, we're in the future. And then when we're thinking about maybe something we said earlier or something that happened last week, we're in the past. So when we're with our breath and just noticing our breath, we're in the now. And that really helps our mind starts to calm and clear, and can help us let go of maybe worries or stress that we have. So let's have a go at doing that. So when you're ready, and if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. And just beginning to notice your breathing, and just noticing what it feels like to breathe in this moment. So just noticing your breathing in and your breathing out. You're breathing in and you're breathing out. And remember, we're not trying to change our breath at all. We're just noticing our breathing. Now, you might notice your monkey mind jumping away to thoughts to the past or the future or somewhere else, and just let go of any thoughts that come up in your mind by coming back to notice your breath. And just noticing what it feels like to breathe in this moment. You can continue to do that for a few more moments. And again, noticing if your mind moves or wanders into thoughts, your monkey mind, just really gently and kindly bring it back to your breathing. And just feeling your breath. Just breathe in and breathe out, and let everything else go. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So how did you get on there? Hope it was okay for you. This is a really good little trick to use when we do notice our mind getting very busy, or our monkey mind jumping to worries, jumping to thoughts about the past, maybe judging ourselves or feeling like we didn't do a good job. We can practice letting the thoughts go and just coming back to this moment using our breath. So we can do that in other ways as well, by just listening to sounds around us, because again, When we're listening to sounds, we're in the moment, aren't we? We're not in the past, or we're not in the future, we're in the here and now. So let's have a go at practicing mindfulness using sounds. So when you're ready, and if you're comfortable again, you can close your eyes. And just beginning by noticing any sounds you can hear from yourself. So maybe just the sound of your own breath, your own breathing. And just noticing the sound of your breath and letting everything else go. And again, if your mind moves and wanders, let the thought go and bring it back to listening to the sound of your own breathing, and just noticing any sounds coming from the room you're in now. It might be the clock, or the sounds of other people, or moving. So just noticing. And now just noticing any sounds coming from outside. You might notice some nature sounds, or people sounds, or animal sounds. Again, just notice if you're thinking about something else, if your monkey mind has moved, and if it has, really gently and kindly come back to listening to the sounds. Just listening, relaxing, listening. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, so that's another great way of bringing our minds into the moment. And we don't even have to close our eyes when we're practicing mindfulness. We can do something called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's basically just noticing in this moment 5 things that I can see, 4 things that I can hear, 3 things that I can touch, 2 things that I can smell, and 1 thing that I can taste. And let's have a go with that now. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So just looking around you and pick 5 things you can see. And just notice 4 things you can hear. And 3 things you can touch. 2 things you can smell. And 1 thing you can taste. Great, that's brilliant. So just by practicing like that, we're bringing our minds into this moment. And we're letting go of our thoughts. We're letting go of the busyness in our mind. And it can really help us in lots of ways. It can help us feel happier and more relaxed. It can also help us listen better, study better in school. It can actually help us when we're playing sports. Lots of really famous sports people practice mindfulness. It can help us be actually a better friend. It can help us listen better to our friends and be there more for people. And it's also got lots of benefits for our body as well. So there's loads of research done on mindfulness that shows us that it can really help us in so many different ways. So hopefully those little practices may be a help to you. And I'd like to maybe talk about 1 or 2 other little practices that I feel might be helpful for you too. So the first practice that I'd like to tell you about is the be kind practice. And what we can do in any moment is ask ourselves, how can I be kind in this moment? So the be part is, how can I be? And that's bringing yourself back to the moment. And we can do that through noticing our breathing, or noticing sounds, or again, noticing what we can see or touch or smell or taste around us. And the kind part, the be kind, is actually asking ourselves, well, how can I be kind to myself in this moment? And so often we hear a lot about being kind to others, but we don't really hear that much about being kind to ourselves, do we? And actually being kind to ourselves is really just as important as being kind to others. And I think it's really important to remember that. I know when I was a teenager, I found it very difficult to be kind to myself. And I think it's a time when we kind of judge ourselves a lot and compare ourselves to others. So I'm going to just guide you in a short little practice around kindness to yourself. And if you're ready and when you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. And I'd just like you to notice, what is your inner voice like? So how do you speak to yourself? What's the kind of sound of your inner voice? And what kind of words do you say to yourself? And now I'd like you to imagine a really, really kind friend. It could be a real friend you have, or a grandparent, or somebody that you really love, or even just an imaginary person. But just imagine someone that really cares for you, is really kind and really loving. And maybe imagine what kind of way would they speak to you? What kind of words might they use when they speak to you? And maybe thinking of something that you're finding difficult at the moment, something that you're struggling with, something that's hard. It could be something to do with school or your friends, or just something that's hard. And maybe just imagining what this kind friend would say to you about this thing you're struggling with. What kind of words would they use? What would their tone of voice be? What would their attitude be towards you? Would they be caring and understanding and gentle? Now we can actually practice being this kind friend to ourselves, and it can be really nice to put our hands on our heart and one hand on our tummy, and maybe just saying a few kind words to yourself. And you can use the words that I'm going to use now, or you can use your own words, whatever feels best for you. But you can say, I'm enough as I am. I am loved. It's okay to feel the way I do. I can be a friend to myself in this moment. I can be kind to myself in this moment. And just taking a breath, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's something we can do any time of the day. We can do this be kind practice. First of all, noticing how can I be in this moment. So can I bring my mind back into the here and now by noticing my breath, or noticing what's happening around me? That's the be part. And the kind part is, how can I be kind to myself? So if it was a friend, how would I treat a friend in this moment? Or how would I speak to a friend? And if we can imagine someone that we really are so kind and caring, and we can imagine what they would say to us, so we can start to actually be a really good friend to ourselves. And I just like to finish on that actually we can do that in our lives. We can actually practice being a really good friend to ourselves. Sometimes we might think about being a good friend to others and being there for others, but I think it's really just as, if not more important, to be a good friend to yourself. And practicing some of these little mindfulness practices and the kindness practices can help us be a good friend to ourselves. But there's lots of other things we can do also to be a good friend to ourselves, and that might mean just looking after ourselves well, looking after our bodies well, not staying up too late, getting plenty of rest, speaking kindly to ourselves, maybe talking about our feelings to people that might be able to help us, maybe doing some mindfulness, doing some sports, whatever it means really to look after yourself well. So I'd like to finish on that, and I hope maybe some of these practices and suggestions were helpful to you. And if you did find them helpful, you'll find loads of ideas and lots of free meditations and practices online. If you look, there's Headspace is a great app, and you can put that on your phone, and there's lots of meditations on that. And I also have a channel called Creative Mindfulness with lots of nice animations that you can use, and that can help you just focus on your breathing and some of those mindfulness practices. And that's the great thing about mindfulness. We can do it anytime, and it's free, and we don't really need anybody else there to do it with us. We can just do it ourselves. So I hope that was helpful, and thank you for listening, and I'll say bye for now.